Hi guys, Barry here again. So I'm down in the polytunnel now, and I said I'd make a video about how we're planning on laying out this polytunnel. You know, we've got the polytunnel up and established over the last few weeks. It's now actually Christmas week, so we still have a lot of time before spring, but we want to spread this kind of work out over the next couple of weeks, so we're not going to be under too much pressure. So let's look at the type of layout that we're going to use here in the polytunnel and why we decided to use this type of layout, and the method for preparing the beds, most importantly, and what we took into consideration when we decided to pick a method for laying out the beds, you know. So I suppose, like, with a polytunnel, it's going to be one of the most productive spaces in your garden. You know, if you live in a climate like we have here in Ireland, you can really extend that season. At the start and the beginning, you can get stuff ready like a lot earlier, and you can grow things on a lot later in the season. And also, like, with a climate like ours, again, with heavy rain, you know, it gives you just that nice space. You can work inside, you're sheltered, you know, like the plants are sheltered from wind, from rain, from harsh conditions, you know, and you're sheltered yourself as well, which is also a great bonus, you know. There's nothing worse than looking out, like, and pulling on your wellies, like, and going down into a mucky garden, like, and feeling like it's a trek, like, you know. Gardening is meant to be enjoyable, like, and I always find inside the polytunnel is just the heat, and I love the heat, you know. I love the smells that are contained within the polytunnel, you know. It's just it's a real beautiful place to work, you know. It's like we move Ireland. It's like you've moved Ireland down to around where Spain sits, like, so you've kind of got outside you have the Irish climate, and inside you've got like a Spanish climate, like, so it's fantastic that way, you know. And that brings us to, like, how we're going to prepare our beds, you know. We really wanted to maximize the space in here, you know. So the layout that we were using was very important, you know. I wanted to keep the last 10 foot of the polytunnel, like, it's a 40 foot by 18 foot polytunnel, so I wanted to keep the last 10 foot for nursery area as well, you know, that I could have my benches in here, that, like, I can still do some work inside here, as well as using the rest then for a growing space, you know. So I have the pats limited down to 1 foot pats, so I'm going to have 3 1 foot pats running the length of the polytunnel. As you can see here, over on my left there's one bed already. That's going to be a 3 foot bed. The same is going to be on the other side, and in the middle then we're going to have about approximately 4.5 to 5 foot beds, and then that will allow us to have 3 1 foot pats. The method that we decided to use for preparing the beds was unfortunately the double dig, you know, which is probably the most labor intensive type of preparation that you can do, also known as the French method. Steve Solomons and John Jevons really talk a lot about this method for, like, root growth and for the maximum yields and maximum flavors, and for, like, roots will require to go down super deep, you know, to draw them nutrients out of the ground up into the plants. So I know both them methods, like, are quite contrasting, you know. One involves stuff being packed into tight spaces, the other involves giving plants loads of space. But all in all, you know, like, it is one thing both the methods, extensive or intensive, can agree on, is that roots need massive space to draw the nutrients and to build healthy plants, you know. And I think, in my experience, like, over the last few years, this is probably the most suitable and the most effective way. So it's not going to be totally like no dig, where I dig every year. My plan here is to do one big dig, so it's nearly, actually, what we're doing here is kind of a little bit over double dig, you know. We're going down where, like, with double dig, you'll see in the video, like, you go the depth of your spade, and then you fork the rest of it, so you dig down to 12 inches, and when you get to 12 inches then you loosen up the ground underneath. with the fork, and that just creates massive space and adds air into the soil, you know, more so than anything else. Like that air in the soil at the root level, like, you know, it is absolutely fantastic. There's massive compaction here in the soil as well, so to get rid of that compaction, the only method is digging, you know. So from here on out, like after this year, the plan is to use a no dig method, so it'll be layering compost on top of the beds from here on out, maybe and then to reassess maybe in 3 to 5 years to see what the soil condition is going to be like. So it will be one big dig now, and then from here on out, every other year we'll just be adding compost to the soil. I am amending the soil at the moment now as well with chicken manure as I go, so that's it's going to add a nice bit of fertility as well. I had chickens in here as well. I had 10 hens in here when the polytunnel was established first for about 6 weeks. They were just eating the grass and they were fertilizing it, so that will just add another layer of fertility. And as soon as I have these beds finished, I plan on letting the chickens back in here again, and I will add some compost and some well rotted manure as well to the soil. Another consideration as well when double digging, it is very labor intensive, you know. Like for us, I've been doing it here with Yvonne, like, you know, and we kind of aim to do 6 foot a day, because if you just look at it and you plan on getting an entire bed done, you know, it's nearly too much, you know. Like you could do 6 foot, will take us between an hour and a half and 2 hours, depending on, because there is a massive variation. There's sections here where it's nothing but stone, and then there's sections where it's kind of nice loamy soil and it's easy to dig. So it's taking us approximately about 2 hours to dig 6 foot, and there's approximately about 20 to 22 sections of that size to be dug here altogether. So if we break that up and decide to do 1 a day, and maybe some days if we feel a bit more we could do 2, you could have the whole lot of it done in a month. There's no point of, for me anyway, like I would just get sick of it. Like, you know, I enjoy this kind of I enjoy gardening, you know. I don't want it to feel like a trek, like something that I don't want to do, you know. And another consideration as well is if you're using the tools that you're using, make sure when you're digging that they're sharp. They come, like if you buy new tools from the shops, they won't come with an edge on them, you know, and that's going to make an unbelievable difference, you know, whether you're getting tools new or getting them secondhand. I usually, when I get, say if I buy something new, whether it's a fork even, you know, the forks come blunt, spades come blunt, I normally put an edge on them immediately with my angle grinder. If you have a belt sander, that would do the exact same thing, or even if you don't have access to an angle grinder or belt sander, you can use a simple file. I'll normally grind them with an angle grinder first, and then from there on out, after that, I'll re-edge them with a file. You know, I find if you grind them with an angle grinder, every time they need to be sharpened, they won't last very long. You'll have half a shovel, you'll have half a spade by the end of the season. You know, so that's just another consideration. So yeah, it's pretty labor intensive, you know, but I feel like that it's going to be worthwhile. I'm excited enough to see the benefits and how the plants will grow in here as a result of the work that we're putting in now, you know. So if you enjoyed this video, just give us a subscribe, you know. I try to upload videos as often as I can, you know, and any comments I'll come back to you, you know. Also, you know, if you need any advice on anything, or you feel like that we could do with advice on stuff, because, you know, we're only learning as well, you know, everyone's learning, you know. So if you have any tips for what we're doing, or you have another method that is similar or it's totally different, I'd love to hear about that as well. So post that below in the comments, and I'll come back to you on it. Okay, thanks very much, and I suppose as it's Christmas week, happy Christmas, and I'll see you soon. Bye.